Luno, the fastest, easiest way to buy Bitcoin. If you're just getting into crypto, it's the perfect place to start.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Layah Heilpern show. We are live from Mexico, which is super exciting. So my background's a little bit different today. Okay, so this is powered by Icon Plus Capital, the VC firm, sponsored by BlockFi, Luno, and we're going to jump straight into this because I have a really exciting guest today. So she's a best-selling author, the CEO of Invest Diva, which maybe gives it away a little bit. She's been featured in Forbes, Fox, Time, CNN. It is Kiana Danial. Kiana, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's so great to meet you. I've been following you for a really long time, and I absolutely love the work that you do. It's absolutely brilliant.
Super excited to be on.
So for those that don't know you, because I know you're predominantly in the traditional financial space, obviously you're involved in crypto as well, but obviously I have quite a more of a crypto audience. So for those that don't know you, please can you just give us a background and tell us what you do?
Yeah, so basically the Invest Diva movement's goal is to help parents actually take control of their financial future. And it is interesting that I got into cryptocurrency because they asked me to write this book, Cryptocurrency Investing for Dummies. And then I became, at least in the eyes of the media, the crypto lady. But actually what we do is a little bit much deeper. We talk about personal finance, wealth creation, like actually creating this ecosystem of wealth where you're making more money and then your money is making more money, and through entrepreneurship and then investing and then diversifying, obviously, with crypto and stocks and whatever asset that is suitable to you and your risk tolerance. So that is what the Invest Diva movement is actually about. It's not just crypto, although I love crypto. It's one of the, not the biggest, but it's a very big portion of my portfolio.
So really just financial literacy, just getting to the crux of it, how to build long-lasting wealth.
How to build generational wealth is our goal. So how to compound faster, because of course, if you're just investing, you're compounding, but it's not fast enough. So if you are just investing $50 per month, you get to $1 million in 65 years, which is great, but it's not fast. Like we want to make money fast, and then you want to do it without it being an MLM or a Ponzi scheme. So basically, I did it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this actually works, and now I teach how to do that to other people.
So before we get into all of that and understanding exactly how you build that generational wealth fast, not like an MLM, but fast and in a good way, I'd love to know a little bit more about you. Are you Iranian, or your parents are from Iran? What's your backstory?
Yeah, so I'm fully Iranian, Persian, if you want to be classy about it, and not like, so I'm fully Persian, Jewish, born and raised, actually. I was there until I was 18. And then I went to Japan. I was there for 7 years. And I actually just came to America 10 years ago. So English is my third language. I mispronounced something. Please don't hate on me. The other day I mispronounced the states, American state. And I got so much hate. I'm like, oh my God, it's just one word. So it's my third language.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize like you'd only just gone to the States 10 years ago. I didn't know that. So how is it different then, when it comes to finance as a woman, building, this kind of, this intellect and this knowledge and these skill sets? How is that different? Did you struggle in Iran with that?
So both in Iran and in Japan, money is a taboo topic. And I've realized also it is in every other part of the world, really. In America, a little bit less, getting better, but money is just a topic you don't want to talk about. You want to pretend that you don't care about money. And so that was my upbringing. I had this, what I call the welfare diva money mindset, that you don't want to talk about money. You don't want to even work for money. Money doesn't buy you happiness. So that was the mindset. And in Japan, it was huge. And I got a little bit bold with it. And I was like talking about money and importance of money actually in Japan when I was on a TV show in Japan. And people are like, oh my God, who's this girl? Iran. Money. I was like they called me like the bombastic or bomb girl or something like that. So they gave me this nickname because I'm this Iranian girl talking about money. But and it has been, I've been trying to get my money mindset right it has been a work in progress. It wasn't like coming to America and bam, I got my money mindset right. It wasn't. I came to America, started working on Wall Street, thought I had it all, and then I lost everything again. I was about like I actually lived in a welfare house, and it was tough times. And then again, rebuilding this idea of actually what money really is and how it can help you and other people and your children, your grandchildren. So America has been great in a sense that I feel like it is okay to stand out. So in Japan, it is not okay to stand out. Like they will like literally not let you stand out. And it's a very different culture. So America is great in that sense. What was shocking to me was that both America and Japan had this male-female fields, which is surprising because you would think that Iran, which is like the oppressive country, would be very, very hard on women. But I grew up not thinking that math or anything STEM is like women's thing. And I went on engineering school without even though I wasn't really good at math, because it was like, okay, it was like taking history in college. It wasn't like something like a big deal. And then I went to Japan. I was the only girl in my class. I'm like, what? Where are the other girls? And then I went to on Wall Street. I'm the only girl in the team. Like, what? So then I was like, wow, the culture about this. There was a male-dominated field culture here, which was very, very
interesting.
shocking.
That is really interesting that you wouldn't know that coming from Iran, because a lot of the time the media sort of portrays a certain picture, which isn't necessarily true. And you often hear, people living in those countries that sort of say, well, actually, that's not how it is. So that's interesting. So you were building a lot, struggled a little bit, but building a lot. So how did you then stumble across money and wanting to build something? And, how did you become financially literate, basically?
So the journey began in 2008 when the markets crashed, and I was a struggling engineer trying to find a job, and I really wasn't good at it. So, but I was on this TV show that would talk about like social issues and stuff like that. And on the TV show, I learned that the markets are crashing. I had no idea what the markets are. I didn't know what crashing, financial crisis even mean. But they said, hey, okay, so the markets are crashing. That means the Fed is printing money. That means all the central banks, not the Fed, also the Japanese central bank. And that means that there's inflation. I was like, what's inflation? They were like, okay, that means that the value of your cash is going down. And the way to combat it is to invest it. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And then that's really cool. I accidentally got into the Forex market because I understood like the exchange rates, because I was in Japan. I had like Japanese yen, and so as a foreigner, I understood what foreign exchange means. Yeah. And one of my friends is like, hey, yeah, you can like make money on this US dollar downfall. I'm like, wow, okay. So again, accidentally I made like $10,000 in a month. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And that's where it really ignited that passion in me to understand what this is all about. And it got me to come to Wall Street and learning more about it. And then the rest is history.
I totally understand the idea of living in a foreign country and then realizing how FX works. I was living in Malta. They use the euro, and I was getting paid in pounds, and I was getting paid in euros. And I was like, oh, I've just made money now just because of the FX rate. And that also was quite interesting for me as well. So yeah, you really have to be there to trigger that sort of like emotional kind of interest in it. So generational wealth. That is something that we all want. If you could give us, 3 tips. I know that's hard. I know it's a little bit unfair. You can give us 5 if you want to give us 5. But what are like the main tips to building generational wealth?
So, the thing is, it's the cliche. It really is. It's the cliche. So what has worked for me, I call this the Zen Wealth Generator. And it has actually 3 points. Point number 1, invest in yourself so that you can increase your income. Point number 2, increase your income. So have multiple revenue streams. And point number 3, invest the money that you made. So invest in yourself, increase your income, and invest in the financial markets. And so what a lot of people just don't get is that, okay, they only want to get like increase their income, or they only want to become entrepreneurs. So they go and become entrepreneurs. Right. And then the stats are shocking that, oh my gosh, what was it? Is 90% of CEOs are 3 paychecks away from going bankrupt. It's like crazy.
Oh,
crazy.
wow. That is crazy.
Don't quote me on the exact number, but it's like a crazy stats. And then
Okay.
you have day traders and investors who are doing okay, but again, it's not fast enough. And then so day traders, they lose money. I don't know if you agree with that, but they do. I did. It doesn't work. It's not like the time that you invest in day trading, in my opinion, it absolutely is not worth the return, because you have to be stuck to your screen all day and you have to like be just chasing the speculations, all the things. For me, what really, really worked was creating a business that works and creating multiple revenue streams from there. So I have like multiple books, I make money through my affiliate partnerships, and then everything builds upon each other. So it's compounding on that end, and then invest that money. So this way you're putting more and more money into your investment accounts, and everything is compounding at this exponential return. So I've given you an example is that when I was just investing at the beginning, my investing strategy is pretty good. I'm actually a good investor. So like I started out with $500 when I got fired from my job, and I did go Wall Street, got fired. I started with $500, and in 3 years I turned that $500 into $50,000, which is a great return. It's a great return, but $50,000 barely pays for like a down payment of a decent house. It does not. In America, it doesn't, right? So but at that return, if I had put in $500,000 in, at that return, that would have been $50 million, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I was contributing to that. So I was contributing $500 per month. You contribute, and then the return is crazy, and then it compounds like crazy. And then once I figured out a business that can generate passive income, it's not on MLM, but it's not MLM. It's just like an online business is like this crazy thing that is really working for a lot of people. And then combining that with investing is what has really made me stand out. So my entrepreneur peers, they are making money that would make $1 million in a year, but they're bankrupt. And then my investing peers, they're just like struggling to like day trade and like make the money, and they're hoping for Bitcoin to go up. And it's so great, but it's not like happening fast enough. Whereas for me, I made my first million through my business like less than a year ago. I just want to show you like how crazy fast it suddenly became. I started out 10 years ago. Then less than a year ago, I made my first million. That was gross profit, and the net profit was probably like $500. Less than a year ago, and now today, my portfolio is $4 million.
Wow.
And I like every month, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So January, my portfolio was like $1 million. And then March, it was like $1.5 million. And then July, it was 2 million. And now it's 4 million. I'm like, oh my gosh, the compounding is just becoming bigger and bigger. And like the impact is just, so like, oh my gosh.
And this is specifically from compound interest, or is this from your business?
No, investing plus my business.
This is from investing.
My business is making money. And now I have a team of 15 people. I'm spending $5,000 per day on ads. Like I have expenses. So my entrepreneur friends who are in the same boat, they are either break even or barely like having some kind of significant portfolio. But for me, it has been crazy compounding, not compound interest. I'm investing in cryptocurrencies, I'm investing in stock market, like all the things. Like I get all the money that I make from my business and I dump it in my portfolio with my strategy, and it's just compounding like crazy.
So in terms of the traditional stock market, sorry about that, something in my throat here. So in terms of the traditional stock market, how do you pick your stocks then?
So it's actually, so I've made it simpler and simpler and simpler over time. Because I used to, it's hard if you are paying attention to the media.
Yes.
So when it comes to investing, actually, when it comes to anything, simplifying is key. So once I switched from trying to find the next best thing to investing in what I actually know, first of all, my emotions were like, I became more sane. I stopped checking my portfolio for 2 seconds. I stopped listening to the news. I'm on the news, but I don't listen to the news, which is weird. And then it has helped immensely. So how I choose my stocks, my portfolio has about 200 shares, which is crazy, stocks, which is crazy. But my main, like my biggest chunks are the stuff that I personally use and spend the most money on, like the companies that I spend the most money on. It's just like super easy. Go to my credit card. I'm like, okay, what are the companies that I spend the most money on? Of course, Facebook, because I spend like $5,000 per day on it. No matter like where you stand with them, like, oh my gosh, is it good? Is it bad? But for me, I'm like, so Facebook is not the best example because I also don't like how they are controlling people. But I spend a lot of money and they have power. And like Amazon, whatever that is you're spending money with. Like my husband is a gamer, so he spends money on Nvidia and AMD and stuff like that. So, and we have Tesla and like all the things that I'm actually a customer of. Those are my biggest chunks. And then from there, because I have a mastermind in our inner circle, so we mastermind what are my students familiar with, and we talk about their experience with the companies. So that is like then the layers, and then I get excited about what they're excited about. And that's why I have like 200 different stocks in my portfolio, which is not recommended, but it's been working out well for us, because then when the market gets choppy, you don't get super emotional and make a dumb mistake, right?
So it's literally where you actually see value, where you spend your money. So in terms of, you mentioned, emotions. Take me through some of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to investing.
Oh my gosh. So listening to the news is the biggest one. Falling for the hype and FOMO. And you can't help it unless you're like super secure. And that's why like people don't understand the importance of being confident in your choice until SHIT hits the fan, because then you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Oh my gosh, China is going under. What's going to happen to Biden? What's going to happen to Baba? And then it's very hard. And that's the reason why investing is risky, is because emotions are very easy to get you. And you also buy because of emotions. Like today, again, like Forbes contacts me, I was like, hey, Bitcoin reached $55,000. Where do you say? I'm like, of course, well, this is a bullish signal, and people get more excited, and that's why the markets go up. And then it's very hard to not go and buy. So
yes,
the mistake by far is falling for hype and FOMO and not having a strategy. So I combine knowing what I'm investing in with market sentiment analysis. And I really just update it once a month. I don't really look at the markets. I don't manage my portfolio based on what's happening in the news. I manage my portfolio every second Wednesday of a month, and that's it. Like, that's my schedule. I don't care what's happening in the world.
So clearly you have this traditional financial background. You spoke about Wall Street, but what about crypto then? So where did that come in? How did that come into your life?
So interesting. So I actually heard about Bitcoin in 2011, and one of my friends said, hey, buy Bitcoin. Like, there's no way I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And completely forgot about it. And it's so funny that crypto actually just fell on my laps, because first, in 2015, a company in the UK asked me to start creating crypto content for them, use BTC. And I was like, I don't know anything about it. And they're like, just do it. You know about Forex, know about stocks, you probably can figure it out. I'm like, all right. So I started learning about it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So cool. That's the first time I really understood the power of Bitcoin, like decentralization, all these things. And then it kind of brought home some painful things from my past with Bitcoin. So again, being from Iran, so a little backstory. So my dad, before the Iranian Revolution at 1979, that many people may not even remember anymore, my dad was actually pretty successful, a wealthy person. And then once the revolution came in 1979, this is before I was born, the new Islamic regime took over all of his assets, froze his bank accounts, they were going to kill him, all the stuff. They didn't kill him, but they basically took away everything. And when I learned about the decentralization of Bitcoin, I was like, oh my gosh, if you had Bitcoin, the government couldn't freeze this Bitcoin. Like, there's no way the government can access it. And that like really hit home for me. I was okay, so this is something that I want to get more into. And then because I was creating content for News BTC, and then I was also creating content for Crypto Briefing, then the For Dummies, Wiley's For Dummies asked me to write the book for them. We're like, all right. So it kind of fell on my laps. That was, I would say, was kind of lucky that I got into it. Very lucky, for sure. And I've become a fan and an investor in the field ever since.
It's still the same idea again, isn't it? It's, you have to be personally affected by something in order to really understand it. I find that really fascinating. For me, I totally agree with you. That is what struck me about Bitcoin, the fact that it's immune from a government control, corruption, you know, whatever it is, and it, you know, you're truly sovereign over your assets if one day tyranny comes. So it makes sense. So does that mean that you are Bitcoin only, or because this space can be very tribal, you know, people get very emotional about these things. So are you Bitcoin only, or tell me, what else do you hold? What else do you see value in?
I'm not Bitcoin only. So I treat my crypto portfolio the way I treat my stock portfolio. I believe in diversification. I'm a value investor at heart. I know value investing is Warren Buffett's thing, and I understand that Warren Buffett is not into crypto, but I think it's just because he's too old, and I think it's good because he doesn't understand it. He shouldn't get into it. But I apply his method to crypto. So I do diversify. Again, so it's a little bit harder with crypto because you cannot like become a consumer or customer of Ethereum. Like, yeah, you can get into the thing. I mean, I don't want to become and go like get into their networks and start mining and become a network, but I try to understand as much as possible about their methodology. And so how I diversify my crypto portfolio is actually category based, because obviously there are different cryptocurrency assets for different purposes, optimized for payments, optimized for platform, optimized for privacy, optimized for whatever. And then so and then I kind of pick the category king of that category as my crypto of choice. So Bitcoin for me is gold 2.0. So instead of investing in gold, I invest in Bitcoin. And then, you know, I invest in Ethereum. I do invest in Cardano. And the way I learned about them, well, it was, again, I was fortunate enough to be able to actually interview Charles Hoskinson and interview like the people who are really, really familiar with the different crypto projects. I'm going to get a little bit hated on this, but I did interview who is the founder of Bitcoin Cash. I forgot. He used to live in Japan.
Oh, Roger Ver.
Yeah. So great guy. We have a lot.
I've spoken with him. He's great.
Yeah, he's a great guy. A lot in common. Lives in Japan. We bond over partying in Roppongi, but it kind of made me not want to actually invest in Bitcoin Cash. So I'm gonna go ahead here, but that's how I really went around the fact. So with stocks, it's easier because you can't actually go and become a consumer, but with crypto, you actually have to go and learn, and so the learning curve is a little bit harder. So not Bitcoin.
Is there a particular coin you're specifically bullish on? So Bitcoin 2 is gold 2.0, but a lot of people talk about Ethereum being internet 2.0. So is there anything you're particularly bullish on right now?
Yeah, so I certainly have Ethereum, Cardano, my boy, BitBoy, kind of talked me into Aave. But some of the cryptocurrencies that I like their mission are Chainlink, and so Chainlink is the one that I actually really like their mission. And actually, I haven't checked my crypto portfolio, but these are the few. Like which others are, but these are the few that I've been investing in.
I'd love to get your say that again.
On XRP, and now I just feel like they have lost their competitive advantage, and so that's why I'm not as bullish on that.
Very interesting. Link is one I hold as well. I'm pretty bullish on that. I'm very interested in what's going on with Solana and different Ethereum competitors. So no, I'm totally with you, but I'd love to hear your opinion on the market right now. You know, we've seen a lot of weird action, whether it's starting with Elon Musk and the energy floods when it comes, and then China banning it, not banning it, banning it, not banning it, pullbacks of 50%, but things seem to be up right now, highest we've been in a long time, and looking at the number now, it's about 55.3K. So what's your thoughts on the markets right now? Do you think we could potentially go on to new highs, or where you at?
So, okay, I'm not joking that I don't listen to the news. Like, I don't know what's happening in the markets right now.
Okay.
So Forbes just asked me to comment on what I see. I just looked at the chart and I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. To me, Bitcoin has value because Bitcoin has finite amount of Bitcoin that can ever be, like, to me, it's like no-brainers, like supply and demand. There's limited supply, and no matter if China is going to ban it or not ban it or whatever is going to happen, Bitcoin is going to have value. It has a brand recognition. I think it checks all the points for me. So I don't care what China is doing. I don't care what Elon Musk says. But I mean, from a technical point of view, obviously Bitcoin, because it's a very volatile asset, it looks like it definitely has broken above the Ichimoku cloud, which is an indicator that I look at. It's completed a double bottom chart pattern. We have bullish signs, but it also has exhausted the most recent bullish sentiment in the past 4 days. And so we could see a little bit of a pullback towards either 52 or 48. And then, yeah, we are in a new bullish cycle. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 58 and 65 and beyond being reached.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think it's great that you don't listen to the news because, it results in a lot of panic selling and a lot of FUD and a lot of concern. But no, I'm also very excited to see what happens. I'm also quite hopeful and quite bullish on the fact that we could actually get back up to 60 before the end of Q4. But in terms of,
to be honest, though, because I was hoping to make enough money this quarter to invest even more at lower prices in Bitcoin, and then it went up before I got to invest at lower prices. I'm like, darn it, because there's no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin is going to reach 100K. But I was
really
will reach 100K like in 3 years, so I can invest more. But yeah, I just created hype by saying that, and it's not gonna happen. So
I think that's what we all want. We all want, enough time to keep stacking and keep buying more Bitcoin. But I don't think you can ever hold enough Bitcoin. And that's sort of the way I look at it. But financial literacy is obviously very, very important. Just building that long-lasting generational wealth. But unfortunately, it's not taught in schools. I do believe we would see a very different reality if it was taught in schools. So, do you have any thoughts on why it isn't taught in schools? And do you think one day it might be?
It is not taught in any schools anywhere in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So it's not taught in Iran, it's not taught in Japan, and it is clearly not taught in the US. There's really a lot of different reasons as to why it probably isn't. I'm not actually going to get into it, but I'm very pleased to see that people, thanks to the internet, people are seeing the value of becoming financially literate. I feel like there are more financially literate people now than ever before in the past decades. And I'm very, very pleased to see that. And people are seeing the value of self-education, and that, for whatever reason, they don't teach these things at school. And it also comes back to having your own business and multiple revenue streams. So, all right, you know it, I know it. They want you to become the workers. They want to have the workers. And that's why they don't teach you about entrepreneurship. They don't teach you about financial literacy. They show you this thing and carrot thing is like, hey, go to college, and in college they don't teach you all the things. So everything that I know today, all the money that I've ever made is thanks to self-education. So that's why, here I have like the 2 Comma Club award. I don't know if you guys can see it. I have my electrical engineering master's degree over here, and I removed it because it never made me any money. And then self-education made me all this money. So yeah, educate yourself, people.
It's funny as well because it's free, generally speaking, or it's not that expensive. YouTube is free. This conversation we're having is free. But yeah, it is about creating workers. Like I said, we'd have a very, very different society. But you're also not just about having that money mindset, but also about just a growth mindset in terms of positivity and things like that. So how do you stay motivated?
How do I say motivated? So, well, again, so I feel like I am positive, but I'm also depressed at times. So let me see. So the mind blowing
So
really changed.
yeah, wait, I'll just say on that point. I just want to say on that point there. I think every Oh, so no, I just wanted to say, I think every single person who has a growth mindset replies with that exact response, which I thought was very funny. But go on, sorry.
That's funny. I didn't know that. But for me, my epiphany on how to really monitor my emotions came after watching The Secret. So that was my very first, being mindful of my emotions and like going after it. Like actually, I didn't know that. Like always, because my mom was like a warrior. She was always worrying and like always imagining the worst case scenario. And I thought that's the way to live. And then I watched The Secret. I was like, oh my gosh, like my mom is literally just like attracting all the stress and negativity and the illnesses that was coming our way. And so if somebody doesn't know that, they will like use their imagination to that. And so that was the very first thing that opened my eyes into the importance of regulating your mind and what you're imagining. And then from there, it has been a work in progress. I have had coaches, I've hired mindset coaches, and the more I invest in myself, the more I journal, the more I do my gratitude and all the things, it actually does help. So there are times that I'm unmotivated or demotivated, whichever the right word is, or feeling like a failure, or feeling like, okay, well, so now what? Okay, I accomplished this, now what? Or what is it even for? So you can go down that rabbit hole. And then for me, it has been like, having coaches or reading a book that, or sometimes like even it's an Instagram post was like, oh yeah, okay, I have to get back to that. So it is all available to us for free, which is just super crazy.
Just surrounding yourself then with the correct information, having that healthy relationship with social media. No, I'm totally with you. I'm also very much about keeping my social media clean, making sure that I only have good, healthy things coming through. But you've also grown an amazing audience on TikTok, which is absolutely incredible. So well done, huge congrats. Your views and your content is so brilliant. But I watched a video of yours, which really struck me. I thought it was really funny, and I want to ask you about it. So you said that you'd done everything that you wanted with your career. Obviously, there's always more to do, but you were sort of happy at a point. And then you said, now I want to look for a husband. And you said, I'm going to give myself 3 months to manifest a husband. And then you were like, and I did it. I have to ask you about this. Can you tell me more?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, you watched that TikTok. Yeah, so I get a lot of backlash on that one. Yeah, it's true. I like, these are all The Secret, like, right? So okay, I got fired from my job, and my boyfriend at the time dumped me, and then I didn't have money to pay rent. So I went down that rock bottom, and then I switched my mindset again, and then I started working now one thing at a time. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. I'm gonna like write a book. I'm gonna do all these things. And then I was like, okay, I'm too heartbroken to actually go back on a dating scene. So I'm just gonna focus on this one element. And I promised myself I'm not going to go on a date while I'm doing it. And then once the book was published, my first book we're talking about, I was like, okay, now I'm going to go on dates. All right, now I have a husband. And then it's just the same principle applied to relationships. So I had this jingle that I had written about exactly who I wanted to be, and like what personality, how I wanted to make me feel. Clearly, I didn't think about all the negative stuff, which then came... like when you get married, but so when he appeared, and then so it's not about just wishful thinking. Obviously, you have to take action. So I took action. I went on 400 dates in 3 months.
400 dates in 3 months.
400 first dates. So 400 coffee dates. I was
first dates. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to meet a lot of people. It's just a numbers game at the end of the day, and then clarity on who you want to meet. And then not giving up, right? So a lot of people go on one date and they're like, oh my gosh, it was so exhausting, and the guy was this, and then they start focusing on how shitty, I'm sorry, I just cursed, but that the date was, and then they get motivated to go on a date again. But I just try to look at the positive and like, okay, this is networking. Okay, you suck as a husband, but you have this network, so tell me about your network, right?
Let's do business instead.
So that was the game plan. And then it's funny because when my husband showed up, I was not interested in meeting him. I did not like his profile on Tinder. Oh, I was on Tinder, by the way. I did not like his profile. I was like, okay, who's this loser who's coming from Connecticut to meet me in New York City? And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll meet with you. I didn't have any other dates on that day. I didn't even put on makeup. And then it's funny because in person, he actually looked better. And then when we got into conversation, oh my gosh, like he's super cool. And then, yeah, we got engaged within 6 months. And then we got married within 9 months. It's been 7 years now.
Wow, I love that story. It's really the one which struck me. I've seen practically all of your TikToks, but that's the one that really, the one that stayed with me.
$12, and then my husband is my biggest accomplishment. Come on.
No, it's great. I think it's lovely. No, I think it's wonderful. Why not? I think it's great. So I also want to talk about like time management, because you do so much. You have a family, you're working, you're writing books, which we can talk about. But how do you manage all of that?
So, okay, some things got to give at some point. So
Yes.
Either money or time, right? So when I didn't have money to spend on getting back my time, yeah, I was not working on my relationship. I was not even ready to have a baby. So what I've noticed, what I've learned is the power of no. I learned this from Marie Forleo, and it's super important. Like understanding what is the one thing. So what is your goal? So have clear goals, and then think about what is the thing. What are the things that are going to move the needle the most towards your goal? And then get rid of everything else, as appealing as they sound. And as you grow, as my business grows, like these decisions are becoming more and more, like they're not going away. Like before, I had to make a decision between like, okay, like my daughter, my husband, and my business. Okay, my portfolio. But now my business has all these arms. I have 15 people to manage, and I have all these opportunities. And I have to go to on this interview, on that interview, and this and then, like all these things, all these shiny objects that I sometimes get excited. And it's funny because it actually literally just happened last week. I went to Fun Hike Live. I don't know if people know about it. And it's an entrepreneurship event, and I was a speaker there. And then you get to mastermind with all these people and get excited about all these new things that you can do. And you can have a software, and you can have this, and you can have that, and all these things. And I caught myself in just getting overly excited and wanting to do all these things. And then I stepped back and go, okay, like it's time to delegate or get rid of stuff. So how I manage my time at this point is really identifying the things that, as I said, move the needle towards my goal, whether it's for my business or for my relationship, or with like time with my daughter. So what are the things that I can do that are the most important, and then get rid of everything else. So I would say the relationship example now, because I talked about business quite well. So I noticed, so when I was really focusing on business, I was neglecting my relationship with my husband. And then once I achieved the goal that I had in my mind, which was like making $1 million, and I was like, okay, now it's time to focus on the relationship. And then I invested in a relationship coach. And we've been taking the class, and now we're like, okay, we have to have a date night every week. So no matter what happens, like that is the one thing that I am, no matter what happens, gonna make time for. And then it makes the decision making easier. Than whatever that happens on that date, I'll just say no to, right? So.
Okay, so it's a roller coaster. So really, it's like a roller coaster, and it's prioritizing whatever your priority is, and sometimes you have to say no. And like you said, you've got employees now, so it's not just you running the business. But you've written a bunch of books. So can you tell me about these books? Tell the audience about the books, and what they can expect from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the books that I'm the most proud of are actually just 2. I mean, I've written 5 books, but the ones that I think everybody needs to read. One is Cryptocurrency Investing for Dummies. So I think everybody needs to read it. I think I did a phenomenal job on that one, because I break down not just cryptocurrencies, but like really the strategy behind creating portfolio with crypto, and if you want to hedge with other things. And I really spill everything in that book. And then the second one is the book that hasn't been published yet. It's this one. So we actually did a soft launch at Heilpern Live that last week. And this one I talk about the generational wealth, which is like not just investing, but also entrepreneurship. This one is going to get launched in January. So get excited.
That is very exciting. So yeah, in January, where can people buy it?
So January 9th, this is going to go live everywhere. So stay tuned. We're going to social media. So
Amazon, bookshops, just everywhere?
Yeah. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all the place, all over.
And remind us what's it called? I can't fully read it. What does it say?
It's called $1 Million Family Secrets. It is not published yet, so don't go looking for it. There's no place to be found. But it is an actual book, $1 Million Family Secrets. How I create.
It's a great cover. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Fun fact, I wrote this book in 2 days.
2 days. Wow. How did you do that? How did you do that?
That was like, we came up, so we knew that I wanted to write the book, but then the Heilpern Live speaking opportunity came along. I was like, okay, I really want to give the book as a gift to the 10,000 audience. And it was a month before the event. And it was like, okay, how are we going to make this happen? And I called one of the publishers that my COO recommended, and she's like, it's not going to happen. You cannot publish a book in a month, especially when you don't have anything. And then I'm like, okay, don't tell me what I can't do. Tell me how it's possible. So this is a very key question, actually. How can we make it happen? And she's like, okay, first of all, go call the publishing printer and see how long they need for it to be published and shipped to Florida. So we called them and they said, okay, we need 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, so we need 3 weeks. So that means that gives us just 1 week. And then the editor is like, okay, I need a week to edit it. That means you need to give this to me on Monday. We were on the phone on Friday. Yeah. Like, okay. And so, I mean, it is a little bit misleading because I already had the content in mind. I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. I have, this is basically one of my courses. So we had the content. So when I say I wrote it in 2 books, 2 weeks, like it didn't just like, hey, let's come up with a concept. I knew exactly what it was going to be for, but like putting it together and making it into a readable actual book that gives you results. That was 2 days.
That's impressive. And I think you actually did that in the smartest way possible. Take what you already have, if you have it as a course and you have these ideas in your head and, put it down on paper and sell something else, get that passive income. I think that's great. I can't wait to read it. So I will be keeping my eyes open for January. So where can people follow you? Just plug yourself at this point.
Oh, plug in. So I don't have any followers almost on Twitter, so please follow me on Twitter. But yeah, I'm on TikTok at Kiana Danial. There are a lot of impersonators there, so please beware. Yeah. I'm not verified on TikTok, so that makes it a little bit difficult. On Instagram, I'm verified, so it's at Invest Diva. And you know what? The best is actually just go on our website. All the social media is plugged in there, so just go to investdiva.com. Everything is there.
Guys, please follow Kiana. She is so incredible, such a breath of fresh air. I think all of your financial advice is absolutely spot on. I love following all of your content. So I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. Absolutely. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to join us again next week for another brilliant guest. Bye-bye.